creepy closet.
Oh hey, it's me, Craig, and I'm in the closet. I have been so emasculated by Masters of the Universe Revelation that I have cut my hair and shaved my beard off, revealing my 27 chins. But yeah, there's been a lot of controversy over the new Netflix series Masters of the Universe Revelation that dropped recently. The first 5 episodes of 10 are available right now to stream on Netflix. I'll start with the positives because there's actually quite a bit about the series I like. I thought the animation was really well handled. Even the kind of weird vehicle animation, I don't know what was going on with that. I guess it was CGI augmented. I liked all the character designs. It didn't bother me that Tila had been beefed up a little bit. He-Man and all the male action heroes were also beefed up, so it only makes sense that the female ones would be as well. The only person I thought was maybe a little over-exaggerated was Evil Lyn. I mean, she is a magic user, so it's strange that she looks like she does CrossFit as well, but you know, it's a fantasy world, I can handle that. And just a heads up, this is going to be major spoilers for Masters of the Universe, Revelation, as well as basically every pop culture story from the past 30 years. So if there's something in genre like superheroes and fantasy and sci-fi that you haven't watched in the past 30 years that you might want to catch up on, it's going to get brought up in this video. So spoilers, major spoilers. Taken as its own story, I didn't mind He-Man being sidelined to highlight other characters in the Masters Universe franchise. I liked the lineup of heroes that banded together, unlikely allies. I thought that was a lot of fun to see Beastman and Evil Lyn alongside Tila and Roboto and Orko and Man-at-Arms. I think it's kind of a misstep for people that didn't enjoy this to say that it was bad writing, because overall I think the themes in writing was pretty strong. I love the idea of going on a quest, taking these characters from Eternia's version of Heaven and Hell. I love seeing Scareglow in action. I thought Tony Todd was amazing casting for that character and a great voice actor for that character. But overall, as its own individual story, I liked Masters Universe Revelation, and I hope they stick the landing. I hope the back half kind of makes up for some of the criticisms I have of the first half. But here are some of my nitpicks and criticisms of the first 5 episodes, because I definitely didn't think this was perfect. I thought it was serviceable. For me as a fan, one of the first problems I had with it was Faker, one of my favorite characters, only has a very minor cameo and then is tossed aside. That's to be expected because Faker wasn't in the Filmation show really. But he's one of the coolest figures in my opinion, and one of my favorite villains of the franchise. So it's really a shame that Faker kind of gets looked over. Next up would be Sarah Michelle Gellar as Tila. I love Sarah Michelle, but I'm a huge Buffy fan. But I just don't think her voice matches the character design for Tila at all. Tila in this series is kind of an Amazon warrior, broad shoulders and tall and everything, and it shouldn't be played by a voice actor that sounds, you know, kind of like a 16-year-old cheerleader. You know, it doesn't quite match up for me. I think it should have been a more gruff and gritty female voice. I think maybe Lucy Lawless, that's someone that comes to mind. I love that Merman was featured pretty heavily, although I think Kevin Conroy was a horrible choice for Merman. He gave him such a dignified, just normal human voice, and I feel like Merman should be a little more lecherous and sinister sounding. Kevin Conroy basically just played him like Batman almost, which leads me, of course, to Mark Hamill, which I love Mark Hamill, but he literally is just doing his Joker voice for Skeletor, and to me it was a little distracting. I feel like they probably should have sidestepped a big name and gotten a voice actor that could personify Skeletor in a more original way than Mark Hamill did. And obviously, I'm an old school fan. I loved Masters Universe ever since I was a young kid. I've even had one of my images from childhood used by Mattel and Masters Universe on their social media. So for me, it was obviously disappointing that this cartoon only featured He-Man and Skeletor kind of as secondary characters and supporting characters, a fan wants to see those characters up front. But that's not what they chose to do, and I can't really criticize them for making a story different than what I wanted. I mean, that's not necessarily the writer's responsibility to give us what we want. The mistake is that the teaser trailer for this, the one that was widely seen, the one even I did a very infamous reaction video to, He-Man! He-Man! It made it seem like this was a He-Man-centric show, and Skeletor and He-Man were going to be all over this thing, and maybe they are in the back half, but as far as these first 5 episodes, He-Man is sidelined immediately and pretty much only seen in flashback, and kind of unceremoniously tossed aside so that we could focus on other characters. Same thing for Skeletor. Skeletor is very secondary in this, and to me, Skeletor is Masters of the Universe. It's not really... I don't think the show can really support itself without Skeletor. But yeah, advertising this as a direct sequel to the 80s cartoon, and then the fact that we haven't had a Masters of the Universe television show since pushing 20 years already, the people that have been carrying the torch for this franchise all these years definitely wanted to see He-Man again. And this is not the show for them. It's all about deconstructing He-Man. I mean, I think that's my biggest criticism with this show, is I'm just kind of tired of superhero deconstruction stories. They've been really popular ever since Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen. I think they've kind of influenced a whole generation of writers, so when they get into these writing rooms for fantasy characters and characters for kind of what they feel like are dopey cartoons, they think, oh, how can I add gravitas to this? I know, we'll do a deconstruction of He-Man. I'm just burnt out, man. I mean, it's happened to Luke Skywalker. Picard is also a hero deconstruction. It's basically characters aged and depressed and realizing that they didn't do any good, really. And I just don't feel like that's where I want to see my heroes for the most part. But yeah, hero deconstruction, I get it. People love it. They like seeing heroes picked apart and their flaws are shown. And apparently it's fun for people to see their heroes depressed and dying. But I hope that a new generation of writers are clever enough to add gravitas to these characters while still making them heroes. I mean, I would go back to the Richard Donner Superman. People always point out that Superman is a boring character because he's too powerful, and I feel like Richard Donner proves them wrong on so many levels, and I really wish that the same lazy thought wasn't for He-Man, because I feel like that's the biggest criticism of He-Man, is that he's a boring character because he's the strongest guy in the room. I would hope that if you're hired to do a Masters of the Universe television show or movie, that that would be the creative endeavor, is to make a character like He-Man interesting, instead of going, let's just get rid of him and focus on other characters because he's boring. But again, in all fairness, they have 5 more episodes to stick the landing, and they've already kind of shown hints that there's more to He-Man than maybe meets the eye, that Prince Adam has a level of integrity and courage that maybe isn't acknowledged by his supporting characters very often, shown in his sacrifices in episode 1 and 5. So, maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. Maybe they'll kind of turn the page and, it'll end up kind of showing He-Man less depressed and horrible. But yeah, I mean, I understand that they're making this stuff for new fans and younger people, and not necessarily for the original fans. Star Wars is a great indicator of that. I mean, I don't think anyone my age that watched the old movies growing up signed on to sequels going, yes, I want to see R2 deactivated in a corner, depressed. That's great. I love it. Sign me up. My kids will love it. And just like Masters Universe, I mean, who is going to watch this with their kids and be like, yeah, I grew up watching this. These are my heroes. That one's dead. That one's depressed. Now he's dead. That one's also dead. Well, hey, it's Moss Man. I remember that character. Oh, he's dead. Okay. And understand it's a fantasy world, it's genre, and all these characters can be brought back in a snap of the fingers. Just like, we did with Marvel, the movies, which it's such a catch-22 because then that takes away all the earned emotions or whatever, right? If you just know they're all going to come back, then why even kill them in the first place? But the bottom line is, Masters Universe is a world that has had a lot of stories and everything over the years, and it's a very fluid franchise. So I feel like the biggest problem was that they advertised this as a direct sequel to the Filmation cartoon, when they should have said, this is kind of an Elseworld, this is our own take. We're taking these characters and we're going to see, hey, what would they be like without He-Man? That's the fun of the show. It's a what-if situation. Instead of saying, this is literally what happens to all your beloved childhood heroes from the 1980s, cut to now, this is how they ended up. I think that's why Star Wars is so upsetting to some people, because it seems like a definitive line of movies with a direct continuity. So when you see your childhood heroes old and depressed and huge failures, it kind of feels like a door is being shut, right? The biggest misstep of the Star Wars sequels is you never got to see the old band back together, right? They rightly were concerned with introducing us to new heroes for the franchise, but in doing so, they only rolled out the old ones to systematically kill them one by one. And we never got to see them all join together, Luke, Han, and Leia, and Chewbacca, and Lando, all in R2 and C-3PO, that core group together again, sharing screen time together. It never happened, and I just don't understand over the course of 3 movies why. I hope Masters of the Universe Revelation doesn't continue that legacy of disappointment, and we at least get to see these characters all interact and together and banding together, even if it is going to be a He-Man, death of He-Man story. It would still be cool to see him full-fledged one last time, going out a hero, not stabbed in the back. But possible spoiler, or, a little prediction that I've seen all over the place, is that the character Audra will probably be the new champion for Grayskull, under Teela as the sorceress. I wasn't super concerned with spoilers for this show after I watched the first few episodes, so if any of these predictions come true, it won't really matter to me. But yeah, I think it's very likely that Audra will be the new champion, and Teela will be the new sorceress, and He-Man will be jettisoned and probably permanently dead by the end of the show. And who knows, maybe that interpretation of this franchise will be the one that people latch onto, and it will be a Teela-led franchise. But yeah, it's really tough to understand why Kevin Smith, someone that's made his bulk of his career on criticizing movies, the prequels in particular for Star Wars,
I want my $8 back.
Why he is so upset with fans kind of questioning his fidelity to this franchise. I don't really understand why they picked someone that clearly didn't like Masters of the Universe to shepherd this. If you do the math, Kevin Smith was probably 13 or 14 when the show debuted. So if you think about it, he was watching Masters of the Universe like it was Barney the Dinosaur, and he probably thought it was so stupid. And just picturing that guy years later, kind of just not caring and just letting people run wild on it, and not caring about any fan reaction that was negative, or why they felt the need to advertise this so He-Man heavy. And I do feel like the people that are being negative about it should maybe just accept this is kind of where we're at right now in culture, is deconstruction stories. I mean, if it can happen to Luke Skywalker, then really anything is fair game. We're probably going to get more of these down the line. Death of stories, main characters getting sidelined for supporting characters. So just kind of ready yourself. It's not really worth losing sleep over, probably. A 40-year-old cartoon show / toy franchise. Although I did lose sleep in my beard and my hair. But yeah, new writers out there, new people up and coming, don't be scared to do a heroic story and feature characters that are strong and do the right thing and aren't jaded and cynical. I think people are kind of ready for those stories, and everything doesn't have to be about how the hero was wrong. But yeah, like a solid 80% chance we're going to see He-Man as a Force ghost waving at the new heroes. You're doing a great job without me. I'm dead. I'm dead. And I hope it's a lesson to guys like Kevin Smith that are shepherding these things to, if you're caught red-handed, if someone is speculating that, the main hero of the franchise is not going to be the main hero of a new product, you should maybe just say, stay tuned or not say anything instead of doubling down and saying, oh no, it's all about him, I swear. Also, where's Fisto? Huh? He just gets one little cameo? Give me Fisto! Anyway, Masters Universe, Revelation, lots of highs, lots of lows. I'd give it a C. Let's wait and see. Hope they stick the landing. Not very confident they will. But yeah, like the fandom and gatekeeping shutting down any criticism of this show is pretty concerning. That if you're disappointed that He-Man isn't in it, that you're not a real fan. I mean, he's the main character of the franchise. I mean, other than Skeletor, who is also sidelined. So, I kind of sympathize with people being, bummed out if they were really looking forward to this. I was a little bit. Not quite as passionately as some people, but I get it. I understand it. I feel you. You're living your truth. Anyway, it's exciting that there's a lot of Masters Universe stuff out there, the new figures, multiple figure lines, and this new Netflix series, and apparently there's another one down the pipeline that's going to be more kid-friendly, and hopefully doesn't kill He-Man in the first episode. Oh. What'd you guys think of the series? What'd you guys think of Revelation? I would love to know. Tell me in those comments. Until next time, life is short, but death is long. Good journey, my friends.